In Cuyahoga County, Ohio, Mackenzie Shirilla was found guilty of the murders of her friend and boyfriend after intentionally driving her car into a brick wall at 100 miles per hour. Today, the 19-year-old was back in the courtroom for an emotional sentencing hearing.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends, and Dom was my soulmate.
In Las Vegas, Nevada, Thomas Randolph has been married 6 times. 4 of his wives are dead. He's charged with murdering wife number 6 and the alleged hitman he hired to kill her. We have the latest from the trial.
You ever seen anybody waltz in a crime scene?
Yes.
Waltz?
Well, depending on the crime scene, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by waltz.
He asked the question a bunch of times about whether or not anyone was waltzing through the crime scene. Like a waltz is a dance, right?
It could be, yes.
Yeah. You've seen somebody dance in a crime scene?
No.
On the docket tonight, Alec Baldwin still not charged in the shooting death of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins. But the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, is set to go to trial. We have a preview.
You know, we had that gun the whole time before that, and it was, nothing happened, and I wasn't in there, and they weren't supposed to be even pulling the hammer back.
In tonight's Tank Takes, a police officer arrested after accepting cash rather than arresting a driver during a traffic stop. Tonight, we're asking the think tank, could this be a good solution for the traffic court backlog? This hour of closing arguments starts right now. We're going to begin this hour with some breaking news. Former President Donald Trump says he will surrender to Georgia authorities on Thursday to face charges. He's accused of illegally scheming to overturn his 2020 election loss. Trump addressed the surrender on his social media by saying, "Can you believe it? I'll be going to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday to be arrested." We also learned today his bond was set at $200,000. Trump will be released from custody since his bond has already been set. The former president is charged with a racketeer-influenced and corruption organizations charge, along with 12 other counts as well. All right, we're going to turn now to Ohio, where a teenager was sentenced today to 2 concurrent life sentences. 19-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla will serve a minimum of 15 years. Shirilla was convicted of intentionally driving her on and off again boyfriend, along with another friend, into a wall, going about 100 miles per hour. A decision which resulted in both of their deaths back in 2020. Obviously, she survived. The judge called her hell on wheels, and prosecutors alleged Shirilla, who was 17 at the time of the crash, had a history of making threats against her boyfriend, one instance occurring just 2 weeks before the fatal collision. Well, today proved to be an emotional one inside the courtroom as the victims' families spoke and Shirilla was sentenced. But before we get into that, let's let Court TV anchor Ted Rowlands get us all caught up on the details of the case.
The court finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder.
Mackenzie Shirilla would hear the judge pronounce her guilty 11 more times, 12 charges in all, including murder, felonious assault, and aggravated vehicular manslaughter.
Guilty of felonious assault.
The verdicts were the culmination of a 4-day trial in which Shirilla was accused of intentionally driving her car into a brick wall at speeds of anywhere between 90 and 100 miles an hour. Investigators say she never attempted to brake. The crash killed her boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and friend, Davion Flanagan. Shirilla did not testify at trial, but posted this message on Russo's online obituary in August of 2022, less than a month after the fatal collision. It read, in part, "God, you are the last person to deserve this. You had such a perfect life ahead of you." Dominic Russo was the youngest of 7.
His name was Dominic, so we called him Dominucci or Nucci. So he was always the one that would make us smile. He always had the biggest smile on his face.
The loss of the 2 young men, a shock to this tight-knit Ohio community. Friends and family gathered at the crash site a day after to mourn and share memories.
It was shocking. We've known Davion for about 14 years. They've been neighbors of ours. We've watched him grow up from this little scrawny kid to this big muscular football player. And he was really like a third son for me, so it was devastating.
William Vaughn coached Russo and Flanagan in football.
They worked hard, both of them. They worked hard to try to represent the school. I can say that all of the coaches love these kids. I mean, these are my kids.
The defense argued that this was a case of reckless driving, not murder. But the judge who decided the case didn't buy it.
She morphs from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels.
Now, as part of the sentencing, victim impact statements were delivered, and the defendant and her mother also addressed the court.
My name is Jamie Flanagan. I am the mother of the victim, Davion Flanagan. My son did not have a clique of friends, but instead was a friend to all. He would go out of his way to show love and kindness to others, including those that were often cast aside by society, the less fortunate, the developmentally challenged, the hurting, and the unvalued. Davion made sure that everyone that crossed his path knew that he truly saw them, that he valued them, and that they were worth his time. So many dreams shattered, a future stolen. We will never get to see the amazing man that he was surely to become. His life was precious. Like I said, he was so much more than cargo. I pray daily for strength and perseverance for myself and for my family. I also pray that Mackenzie will find true remorse in her heart and true repentance. We thank all of those that worked so hard to help us bring justice for our son. We are forever thankful. Davion, we miss you terribly, but as Christians, we grieve with hope. We will make sure your memory lives on, and we ache for the day that we are united again in eternity. Thank you.
He was the one who picked me up when I fell. He was my best friend and the only person that has stayed with me since I was born. I would like you to give Mackenzie the longest possible sentence. I've known her for about 3 years, and as she's always taken the easy way out. You shouldn't be able to take the easy way out when it comes to murder. It's completely unfair that no matter what sentence you give her, she will be eligible for parole, while my brother will be gone forever. Thank you, Your Honor.
But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. No one can imagine the pain of losing a child unless they have lost one themselves. The pain is forevermore. Time does not heal this wound. Mackenzie, going to prison because you did this. Be thankful that you're still alive and have a future, whatever that may be. Dom and Davion were robbed of their futures, their hopes, and their dreams. Mackenzie showed no mercy on Dominic, nor did she on Davion. Only God at this time can have mercy on her soul. Thank you.
Nothing said or done here today can describe the loss or repair our lives after this tragedy. Kenzie's statement in the hospital to Detective Azu, "Can't you just take my license away for 10 years or something?" That statement is Mackenzie Shirilla. The most selfish person I know. Ironically, Dom was the most selfless person I know. Mackenzie Shirilla murdered Dom and Davion in cold blood and had already moved on. Kenzie killed Dom over the thought of losing him, and she made Davion collateral damage. She was driving, going to concerts, and dressing up for Halloween, no thoughts of the families and lives that she had destroyed.
I just want to say to the families that I'm broken, sad, and lost, and my heart hurts for everyone, okay? Davion was her new friend, and Dom was the love of her life, and he was part of our family, okay? I'm just so sorry that this happened, and we're heartbroken, okay? For 3 months crying, there was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked, and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day. Specifically, she chose the day just before her 18th birthday. She chose to drive the car, the time to drive the car. She chose an obscure, previously scouted route through an industrial roadway. She chose the target to hit and the victims. She chose the means and the method to follow through. And she planned and purposefully executed the events of July 31st, 2022. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence. But I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out of 15 years. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other.
All right, so you heard the judge say that sentences were concurrent. She said she struggled with whether they would be consecutive or concurrent, choosing ultimately for concurrent. All right, to hear their thoughts on today's sentencing in Ohio versus Mackenzie Shirilla, let's bring in tonight's think tank. Joining us in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also joining us in Stamford, Connecticut, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, and in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Thank you all for being with me this evening. Jennifer, I'll start with you. You know, the thing that jumped out at me when I started reading about this case over the weekend was the ages of these folks. She was 17 when she did this. Now, you know, you understand young love can be intense, but there was a suggestion and some evidence that she had been threatening him with this type of thing before. As we said, about 2 weeks before she threatened to do this, there were lots of tapes of her saying really not nice things to this guy who, again, was her on-again and off-again boyfriend. Your thoughts on this case and the sentence?
Yeah, well, no excuses, Michael. I mean, she was reckless, more than reckless in her driving. I mean, she slammed into this brick wall at 100 miles an hour. Yes, young love can be very upsetting, very crazy. Where are the parents? You know, why aren't they sort of knowing what's going on, maybe intervening? Maybe they didn't know. But it's just an unfortunate situation all around because, you know, you have these boys that were killed in the prime of their life, not even starting their lives really. And then you have this young girl who was also ruined her life and the lives of others. So it's just so unfortunate that, you know, she had this license, she was able to drive and did so in such a manner to, you know, just because she was upset about something, which we know teenagers often get that way. Unfortunately, she should have had someone, or wish she had somebody that she could have talked to about it, or the boys would have talked to about it, a parent or a trusted adult, to try to intervene in this situation before it got out of hand.
Yeah, no question about it. You have to wonder, you know, and again, kids tend to keep things to themselves. They think they can handle it. Maybe don't see it as serious as it really is. Al, I gotta say, you know, the young lady in her defense, there was some suggestion that she, right after, about a couple of months after, when she got better, they had to pull her out of the car with the jaws of life, and she cannot remember what had happened. She knows obviously that they're dead, but she can't remember what happened. But there was evidence that she drove the path that she hardly drove. She had actually tested it out days before. She picked 5:30 a.m. when the crash happened because she knew there would be few witnesses. And there was video that shows her speeding up into the wall. I say, this is a special kind of crazy. And she got off easy in this instance that the judge chose to not make these consecutive.
Well, I don't know if she got off easy. I mean, 15 years on this kind of a thing is, and you know, not to play Monday morning quarterback, of course it's Monday evening, but I would never have done this as a bench trial. I would have had a jury up there. I think I could have swayed one juror on this. I mean, this girl is so, I mean, she looks so fragile. She looks so, you know, innocent. I think that I could have gotten at least one juror to go my way with regards to this. I mean, I would have been playing the songs that have 17 in them, you know, like Carefree and you know, Frank Sinatra. It was a very good year. Small Town Girls, had Soft Summer Nights, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. You know, not, you know, slamming one's car into a wall on a hot summer night. I mean, it's a very sad case, but I don't think it did any justice for her having this as a bench trial. And I think Darnell's going to agree with me. I mean, I would have put this girl up in front of it because as far as I can see, there was no real evidence. Everything that you just mentioned about what was going on there, I mean, it's a kid. She's 17, okay? I mean, we got to remember that. She's 17 years of age. She's not 37. She's not 27. I mean, 17. I just had a case recently where the boy was 18, and it was involved in a very serious accident, and was involved racing with another car, chasing another car that went off the road. 5 people very, very badly injured. Okay, you know, they weren't killed, fortunately, but I mean, grievous injury, grievous bodily injuries. And, you know, I was able to get a 5 flat on that, not 15 years to life. Which is a long time for this young lady.
And the judge even said her expectation is that she will be denied. She'll come up for parole after serving 15. She expects she'll be denied, which means she'll have to wait another 5 years. So minimum, at least in the judge's mind, it'll be 20 years. And again, she was saying that to the families who obviously their sons will not come back. Darnell, I got to get your thoughts on this. You can talk about the case itself and also the fact that it was a bench trial. I can certainly understand it. There was some ugly tapes played for the judge. This girl, she was, I don't know what the story was with her at the end of the day, but there was some very ugly tapes played of things that she said to this young man that I guess she ultimately decided to do this. At least that's what the court decided. So your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so obviously these are very difficult cases. And the first thing I was wondering if we can get Al to get consecutive time for his Grammy attempts. And aside from that, when Al said about his clients that were racing, and he did a great job, 5 years, and that's the quintessential reckless. You know, when you're not intending to kill anyone, but you're racing and doing your Fast and the Furious out in the streets, these street races, and then that's reckless, right? And somebody dies or gets hurt. And so Al did a great job with that sentencing. But this case, all the evidence led to the fact that it was premeditated. She had an axe to grind, and that she wanted to kill these kids. Fortunately or unfortunately, Miller versus Alabama has said that when you sentence young kids to an extraordinary amount of time, it's cruel and unusual punishment, because like Al said again, this is a kid. They can't even process the consequence. So because of that case, Miller versus Alabama, the courts have capped the type of sentences that these kids can get. But this judge clearly wanted this child to understand the gravity of her actions, and would have given her more if she could have. And I can't say that I disagree.
Yeah, I can't disagree either. Again, 17 is definitely a consideration. And the judge mentioned that, you know, she wasn't actually, even the father of one of the victims got up and said, look, these lives have been taken and it's awful. I don't necessarily take away her life as well. So you got to appreciate him for those sentiments. All right. Think Tank, they're going to be staying with me the whole hour. Very excited about that. All right, folks, coming up next.